Okay, you saw him in my reporting just moments ago. He's joining me now on set. It's Chicago Alderman Raymond Lopez. Thank you so much for joining me here on set today.
My pleasure.
All right, so Chicago obviously has been in the spotlight a lot lately, most recently because the mayor, as one of several sanctuary city mayors, actually reported to lawmakers about how things are going. I want to play a brief clip from that testimony, and we'll get your opinion on the other side.
Is that in your cities, when someone's apprehended for a crime, and ICE is now, with this new federal policy, wanting to come in and deport the criminal alien, that you will not cooperate with ICE? Will you turn that criminal over to ICE?
And we do not harbor criminals. Our local police department works hard every single day to ensure that the city of Chicago is
Yes
safe.
or no? Will you turn the criminal over to ICE?
With a criminal warrant from the federal government, our local law enforcement repeatedly collaborates with federal agents.
So for months, we've heard Mayor Johnson say that ICE has no business being in Chicago, that CPD and local officials are not going to cooperate. But then just in that clip, we heard with the proper paperwork, meaning a federal warrant, CPD will help out ICE and they will turn over undocumented immigrants and public safety threats. Does this feel like mixed messaging to you? Do you feel like Mayor Johnson's message is getting out to Chicagoans, or that Chicagoans even know that Mayor Johnson and CPD are willing to turn over immigrants to federal agents?
Well, Alex, what we've heard over the last 26 months of his administration is that we will never cooperate. We will never work with the federal government. We will deport no one. And regardless of what crimes you commit, we are committed to keeping Chicago a sanctuary city for you. And then no sooner he gets his hand in the air, takes an oath before Congress, his entire tune changes. And he says, we don't harbor criminals. We're happy to work with you. Kumbaya, just so we could get out of that 6-hour hearing. That was a remarkable display of doublespeak if I ever saw in my political life. But the facts speak for themselves. They are not working with immigration. He's not met with Tom Homan. He refuses to engage Donald Trump or Secretary Noem to discuss what we can do to move forward together. And all the while, he keeps encouraging the federal government to go into the neighborhoods when he's in Chicago and get those undocumented individuals themselves.
Well, that's the interesting thing, because we're talking now about collateral damage. The first target, so says the Trump administration, is public safety threats or gang members, people that are accused or convicted of crimes. The collateral damage being the asylum seekers, if they're still committing a crime, according to the Trump administration, and they'll be picked up too. But the question is whether or not that collateral damage is actually happening here in Chicago. What's your read as somebody who works for the city and the constituents of Chicago about whether or not those collateral damage arrests are also happening, and whether or not we are doing what we can to get the public safety threats out?
Well, I think it's hard for us to know exactly what the collateral capture rate has been in the city of Chicago because ICE hasn't been very forthcoming with details.
And that was part of the story, right?
Exactly.
We don't get those numbers very easily.
We don't get the numbers. We don't know who the targets are. All of that information is kept close to the vest with Homan and Noem. But what we do know is that there's a real fear among the community that the collateral captures rate is high, that it's real, and that anyone who opens the door unwittingly may be taken by the enforcement agents. All of that could have been easily alleviated had the city of Chicago acted when we proposed an amendment saying if we arrest someone who is a non-citizen and a danger to our communities in certain categories, then we will work with our federal partners for them to deal with that individual from that point on. A safe transfer of custody of a non-citizen from CPD to the federal government, which would alleviate collateral captures almost entirely.
Yeah, we've been talking about this a lot for the last month or two. We're going to continue to talk about it. We're thanking you for your expertise coming here to our studio today.
Keep it going.
All right. Thank you very much, Alderman.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.